So I'm not speaking socialism here. But we all need to be chasing the same objective. We know by satisfying our customers and creating something special, we can achieve those goals. And so that, I don't know if that answers your question, but we've put a big goal out there with our customer focus in mind. And now we lay the game plan together and we move forward.
Is that a big part of it, Chris? Kind of buying into that vision, having management that can really express that to everybody who works for the company?
Being a representative, I understand it's crucial that I have maintained, and this is not why I have a relationship with Will, but I know that it's very important, you know, as a leader of the union and the guys on the shop, it's important that I somehow find a way to maintain a good relationship with the company, because that's how we win. If I go in there and I can't get along with Will, he's not going to get along with me, and it's not going to work. So I understand that too, and having the role that I have, it's important that I explain myself to the guys working with me as well, because you know I can't do it by myself.
Yeah, another question from the audience about just how the two of you resolve issues on a daily basis that might come up. These aren't the big things that would undermine the company, but issues come up. So how do you work through them, and is there an example of a problem that you two were able to resolve, you know, in recent history, the sort of the bumps in the road you run into in running any business?
I start and then you finish on that one?
Sure.
A great example is that incentive plan. And again, Chris was relentless. I mean, in a good way. He wouldn't let that fall off the radar. We had talked about it in negotiations, and because of all the change we were getting to, we didn't get a chance to execute it as quickly as we could have or we should have. But this guy was relentless. And again, we're a small company, so you know, we see each other every day, everywhere. And so as we rub shoulders with each other and as we pass each other, and we typically see each other every day, you know, our Vice President of Operations, Chuck Ertzberger, who's here, is now moved into more of a direct communication role. But I think he exhibits that same desire to work together, and we just deal with things face on. You know, we don't have anything hidden under the thing. If he's got an issue, he's going to bring it to us. And he'll do it and do it and do it. And if we've got an issue, it's the same thing. There's no fear, I guess. There's no, oh gosh, what's he going to say? I don't want to bring this. Again, it comes back to that basic level of trust. And I'm not going to get my way all the time. I get that. My way is not always the best way. I'm definitely understanding that. And that's the way we deal with it. Hey, here's something we got to talk about. And we talk about it, and we come to what's in the best interest of the 110 people that we work with. And that's really, I think, what we try to come out with.
Here's an example. 2012, I negotiated our latest contract with Will. And in one of our proposals, we wanted, they were trying to alter the health care in the contract, as well as, you know, when you're negotiating a contract, you always go for more than you think you're going to get. So for our raises, we went at them with like $1.25 an hour over every year for 3 years. I think it was the maddest I've ever seen Will ever. It's like, it was so funny. I still joke around about this, but even with my coworkers, because he's telling me the importance of keeping this company in America. And as you all have heard him talk about today, how we all believe that it's important, you know, for everyone. And 5 minutes later, I'm showing them this offer, $1.25 an hour for the next 3 years. You know, we want you to pay for our health care. Forget it. I'll just take it to China. I'll make the phone call now.
Remember I said jerk?
On that one.
So yeah, to have a dose of realism from the labor standpoint as well. Dave, one thing you mentioned that I thought was really interesting at the beginning of your remarks, and it was the idea of that we talk about labor and management, and we sort of leave the customer out of the equation. Like somehow these guys can battle it out inside their company, and at the end of the day, there's not a customer making a decision about whether to deal with the company. I just wonder, you talked a lot about the values and the nature of the partners that Penguins like to work with. Why is that so important to the organization? Because you could do it on straight bottom line. What's the cheapest thing I can get that's going to satisfy my fans? But it sounds like you've made your own cultural commitment and organizational commitment as a business to do business a certain way. Where did that arise, and how did it make these guys really valuable partners?
I'd like to say that comes top down. Fortunate enough, I've been with the organization now 16 years with a diverse group of owners through that period of time, as you can appreciate. And that's really, Mario started with his foundation, talk about corporate responsibility. And you know what? We just, when we have an opportunity, give you an example, which I didn't show that's up there. We were up against the gun just recently. We had a 6.6K run that we did with the Mary Lemieux Foundation. We did it as a collective, okay? I knew that if I went to Wendell August on a short lead time, they would provide me with artwork. They would do everything in their power to get done. So when you start talking about a quarter here, a dime here on a promotional item, a bottom line, it's invaluable when you're up against it. You know that you have a partner or a business relationship that will react, over and above how they need to react. Again, the lead time was terrible on the Mary Lemieux. We put the whole race together. Don't tell everybody this, in 6 weeks. We had more runners than the Steelers had in their event, so it talks a little bit about the popularity of the franchise now. But to have the ability to go to someone, and we have other partners like that, to go and say, hey, Will, I need this medal in this period. Can you do it? And you know what? It's never, let me see. It's, we'll figure out how we can do it. And it's, with the dedication of folks like Chris at the organization, that these things happen.
Just that comfort level. They're going to step up and do the job. A couple of just sort of practical questions from the audience, I guess. When did Wendell August Forge become a union shop? It's United Steelworkers, right?
80 or 81?
80 or 81?
Somewhere, yeah.
So back right around the...
88, somewhere in the 79 to 81.
Okay.
My mom's here, and I can say this. My dad and mom bought the company in my mom's here, by the way. It's kind of she's a great lady. She's right there. When they bought the company, my dad came over from IBM, and this is an interesting story, and he was a sales and marketing guy. He wasn't per se a manufacturing guy. And looking back, I totally get why the union came in. And no disrespect to my dad, I get it. And it's neat how it's evolved over the years into a relationship that we work together and we work toward a common goal. But it came in the late 70s, early 80s, and there was a reason for it. And hopefully that now we've worked together in a different light, but with the same objectives moving down the road.
So that the relationship has matured over that generation from the early 80s in terms of how you work together.
I would hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, and another question just has to do with the fire, just curiosity, I guess. Was anything salvageable at the old site where you had the fire? This is from somebody who actually went to Grove City College and used to go to the old site, I guess, to buy things. Yeah.
And really the two key aspects of Wendell August, one are our people, and two are the dies that our artisans create, the actual original designs. And they're engraved into steel, 1-inch thick steel. And we have about, 4,000 dies. They're the lifeblood, outside of our people, the lifeblood of our company. And we were able to salvage, if you can believe this, Bill, all but 70 or 72. And so it was miraculous. And again, if any of you all are firefighters or no firefighters, the night of the fire, we had 21 volunteer fire departments respond to the fire. And the night of the fire, remember this, we had the line of the firefighters that went into the building as it was still burning. And they made a 2x2 rows, 40 people deep or however many, and they were in the die vault handing the dies out. And they got as many as, heroic. And then the next day, literally that next day, our craftsmen were digging in the rubble, trying to find as many of the dies as we possibly could. And so again, just heroic effort of the firefighters and our craftsmen the days after, we were able to keep our key asset. But outside of that, there was very little at all that we were able to save.
But Chris mentioned there was another piece of machinery in an old building that you were able to move back into that kind of got you up and running fast. Was that?
We have a facility that we're actually currently still working out of. When I started working for Wendell August in 2007, that's where I started working. And
It was like a satellite location to the original business that you were using. Was that?
how long did you guys work out of that building before me? It was a while.
Again, I talk about the providential nature of this story. Probably the stupidest decision I've ever made as the president of the company was, 2002 or whenever it was, that we moved our manufacturing out of our historic, National Register building, and we moved it down the street a half mile. If you'd asked me, I couldn't even tell you why I even made that. Just dumb. And but again, God knew that in 2010, that decision would be needed because that building was the reason we were able to get back up and going. We had vacated it in 2009. So we had moved out of that building in 2009, moved back to our historic building that has since burned. However, the landlord was unable to lease any of the space. Literally, the electrical, some of the old equipment, as Chris mentioned, was still in this building. Are you kidding me? Without that building, there is no way we could have done the order. There's no way we could have gotten back in. It was wired for us, ready to go. And so, what we do sometimes foolishly can be turned into something really great. And I look back and still the dumbest decision I've ever made, but one that we were able to utilize in the go forward. So we were there for about 7-8 years.
Wow, a remarkable story. Well, another question from the audience. So how have sales been since the fire? And do you think all the publicity, you said you went national in the publicity, has that helped? Has it actually helped in some ways to build the Wendell August brand?
It really has, yeah. Again, we had a month before the fire, we had hired a PR agent. First time in our life we had a PR firm working for us. Just amazing the things that line up. So as the fire is burning and Chris and colleagues are telling the firefighters where to go to get stuff or do this, I'm on my BlackBerry at the time with our PR firm, and we're writing a press release about the fire so people know that we're still in business. And that press release was picked up internationally. And it really, and then through the Penguins and Dave championing us, how you sometimes have corporate ambassadors? This guy's an ambassador. He's opened so many doors for us in so many different ways. So yes, sales have almost doubled since the fire and while we're dealing with all this other stuff going on. And we're now selling, it forced us to think differently, totally differently. When you have nothing, you think totally different. Currently, we're in over 800 retail stores nationwide. We've done an acquisition. We've done a licensing of another company. We've organically opened a fourth manufacturing company. We're selling in the likes of Macy's. We're selling in the likes of Bed Bath & Beyond. Again, 800 retailers nationwide. We're working with distributors nationwide. We're working with the San Francisco 49ers about possibly doing a promotion for the opening of their new building, Levi Strauss Stadium. And again, it's because of this guy that we're doing these things, and we get that. But, what could it, I can't remember the exact number, but is it 60% of companies, when they face a catastrophic loss or issue such as we did, go out of business? And instead of that, because of our folks, we didn't go out of business, we've actually grown. And the opportunities before us are even much brighter while we maintain our American-made hand craftsmanship and our attention to detail and the customer.
Dave, I guess, it was to have the Pittsburgh Penguins, respected brand, National Hockey League, national following, stand behind this company in that sort of crisis, had to have played a big part. how much did you have to think about it? These guys are burned down. They are out of business. You've got a big game in a month. How, what went through your mind, and how quickly were you able to say, you guys need us to front you the money? And how were you able to make that decision?
Well, I don't have a dog, so I couldn't kick the dog. No, and a lot of, we talk about Dave Soltis. I mean, as with Will, this is a we. It's our marketing department. It's the folks at the organization that support you when you want to make a decision. You just lay the facts out. You have to trust people at some point in time in business. If you want to be aggressive, if you want to make a mark in business, you have to take risks. For us, the Penguins organization at the time, it was a risk. Okay. A lot of things we do are risk. I like to say 95. I did 200 things last week, and 175 were right. So sometimes we don't dwell on the negative, but did we take a risk? Yes, we did. We took a risk because we believed in the organization. The decision was made on March 4th, but the courtship happened long before that. The order was placed on the 4th, but it's meeting the folks, seeing the drawings, seeing the capabilities, how quickly they responded to different things that we asked. Hey, I don't like this. How about this artwork? How about this picture? This different picture. So that that's what it's about. Yes, it was a tremendous risk on the organization. Probably would have lost my job. No, I'm just kidding. But again, you sit there. The organization never failed on delivering a promotion. We had that kind of faith in the Forge that they would deliver on what they said. And they went through it. Hey, I talked. And Christian, who was our sales guy at the time, said, "Hey, listen, I've talked to Will. We're set up in this other place. The dies are safe. I just want to let you know." It was constant communication. We're going to work around the clock. This is the only project we're going to work on. So it's one thing we didn't talk about, and it's so important. We get into it in labor management. It's about communication. If I wasn't communicated to, what was going on, I would probably pull the promotion. But hey, Dave, it was a day or so after. We saved it. We have them. We have another facility. We can start this out. We're really, really sure we can do it. Had some questions, so it was bang, bang, bang. So that's the type of relationship. Business isn't just, dollars and cents, and sometimes what's lost today is the relationship aspect. And I got to point to the labor management aspect of it. This works and works great because there's a relationship. There's a respect, of both of their position when it comes into that climate. A lot of years I was in the grocery business. I dealt in that environment with very, very tough labor unions at that point in time. And you have to understand, it is about communication.
It's been an interesting discussion. I think I've done all but one of these sessions. And, you talk about labor management relations. You spend a lot of time talking about money. You spend time talking about benefits. You spend time talking about work rules. You may not talk as much about the customer as you should. I think that's one thing we've learned. But a lot of the conversation today has been about values. It's been about trust. It's been about communication. It's been about faith. And Will, you're very upfront about this. How much does your faith drive your philosophy in this business, and how much does it drive the whole mission behind Wendell August, and what difference do you think that's made, for you, for your company, and for what all of you have been able to accomplish here?
My relationship with the Lord is central to everything I do. Again, I make mistakes, a lot of them, but I think the key thing I did post-fire, and one of the key things that I have contributed to this story is a sense of calm. And that wasn't me. That was, again, I think the Lord had prepared me in unique ways, and I'd love to chat with some of you about how He had prepared me for, I don't know if any of you read the book of Esther, for such a time as this. She was called for such a time as this. The fire is raging, and I know at that moment that I was called for such a time as this. I knew it. I knew it. And so my faith is central to everything I do. I have my jerk moments, for sure. And we hope, we try to live biblical values every day in our company, honoring people, honoring others above ourselves, and doing the right thing in the right way. And as Dave says, it's not about always the bottom line. we've got to create a bottom line to exist, but it's not always about that. And I hope in my failures that still people would see that from me, from Chris, from others, we have a set of values that really, if you look at the founding of our country, the wholesomeness and goodness and belief in people, it's what we were founded on, and we try to live that out every day. And hopefully the people I work with see that, and hopefully the folks we work with as our customers see that as well. But it's definitely not me and me alone. This is, again, if there's nothing you leave with about Wendell August outside of this, is it's a great group of people with diverse talents that have come together, and we're working together for a common purpose and a common good.
All right. How about a round of applause for our panel? Great discussion today. If we have a final couple of words before the reception.
I'm rarely rendered speechless, but that story is pretty amazing. I'm often faced with temptation.
It's part of you allowing
My
us
hands
to
are
be
here.
the copper ticket that's sitting there, the copper ticket.
This
That ticket is for you.
Oh, no. It's okay.
Yes? Now,
It's okay. Just keep it.
the other thing you have to realize, that, get into a little bit of lore, which I'm sure these guys were going to mention, is that each of these artisans, somewhere on the face